The government issued a doomsday warning. While everyone else was hoarding supplies, I was hoarding pets. My girlfriend laughed at me, calling me insane. After all, when the apocalypse hits, I wouldn't even be able to feed myself, let alone animals. In response, I caught the golden retriever she callously threw away, pulled it into my arms, and successfully made it acknowledge me as its master. Why? Because I'd been reborn. I knew that after the apocalypse began, all domestic pets would mutate into guardian beasts. Later, when my ex-girlfriend tried to demand her dog back, she was grabbed by the scruff of her neck and tossed straight out the door. As for me, I just kicked back and won the apocalypse on easy mode. 30 days until Doomsday. The government issued daily broadcasts urging everyone to find bomb shelters or sparsely populated areas to hide in while waiting for a viral vaccine to be developed. Total panic swept the nation. Massive waves of people fled the cities for the countryside, hoping that the vast, unpopulated land and abundant resources would help them survive the end of the world. My girlfriend packed everything of value from our house into her car. She cursed at me the entire time. "You're completely useless. I tell you to go out and scavenge for food, and you refuse. Instead, you stay home worshiping these little ancestors like they're treasures. When the apocalypse comes, are you going to eat them or drink them?" Her golden retriever, Demao, Big Fluff, happily jumped into the car, ready to head back to her hometown with her. Without an ounce of hesitation, she yanked him out by his collar and kicked him to the curb. "It's the end of the world. I can't even feed myself. Why the hell would I feed you? You can stay with Linyu. At least his stash of dog food will last you a few months." I reached out and patted Demao's head. "Demao," I said softly, "she doesn't want you, but I do. Will you stay and live with me?" My girlfriend rolled her eyes so hard I thought they might get stuck. "Figures. A dog is more important to you than I am." "Yeah, because you're literally worse than a dog." She stomped her feet in a fury, slammed the car door, and drove off. I didn't care. I coaxed Demao until he obediently followed me into the house, finally letting out a sigh of relief. I handed him a massive chicken leg, then looked around my small row-house villa in the city center. A warm feeling spread through my chest. The neighbors had all fled. The usually bustling city had gone eerily quiet. But inside my home, everything was peaceful. By the window, two beautiful ragdoll cats, Demi and Xiaomi, were grooming their fur. Once the apocalypse hit, they would mutate into wolf-sized feral cats with staggering combat power, yet remain fiercely loyal and friendly to humans. Tragically, in my past life, they had starved to the brink of death. When the mutation finally occurred, they sacrificed themselves to save me, torn to shreds by a zombie horde. Deeper inside the house was Xiao Bao, little treasure, a raven. Ravens are raptors, and in the apocalypse, they became some of the most terrifying aerial predators. More importantly, crows are animals that know how to repay kindness. He would understand my needs and actively scavenge food and water for me. In my past life, if my girlfriend hadn't tricked us and caused us to be ambushed by bone-eater birds, Xiaobao wouldn't have had his wings snapped and slowly starved to a miserable death. Lastly, there was the golden retriever. His fate had been the worst. He didn't even make it to the apocalypse before my girlfriend slaughtered and ate him. This time around, I chose to completely check out of our relationship, purposefully pissing her off so she'd leave. Now that she was gone, it was time for me to start my real hoarding. And while I was at it, I needed to buy a few more pets. First on the list, 2 pet snakes. In my past life, I personally witnessed mutated snake beasts swallowing zombies whole. They were immune to the infection and could even level up from eating them. Their owners became highly sought-after VIPs, treated like royalty in the safe zones. I needed a male and a female. Any eggs they laid in the future would become my new pets. Many pet shops were already abandoned, essentially offering $0 shopping. But I didn't resort to looting. Instead, I sought out a specific female pet shop owner nearby. She was a genuinely kind-hearted woman. In my past life, right up until the apocalypse hit, she had been desperately trying to find adopters for her animals. Unexpectedly, because of those unwanted pets, she ended up living a completely carefree and comfortable life in the wasteland. She was thrilled to see me and eagerly offered me her last 2 king snakes. One was pitch black, the other speckled. They both looked very docile. I paid immediately. Then, I picked out 2 Syrian hamsters. Rumor had it that these little guys could communicate with all rodent species. Don't underestimate that ability. In the apocalypse, animals mutated, and the sheer volume of the rat population made them absolute tyrants of the wasteland. If I could secure their help, at the very least, the perimeter of my house would be airtight. Carrying my new pets, I bought an excessive amount of pet food, bowls, and even an incubation chamber for the snake eggs. After dropping them off at the villa, I used the cover of night to secretly transport the survival supplies I had pre-ordered and stashed in a warehouse back to my home. Once that was done, I manually reinforced the yard and all the windows, spending the rest of my time bonding with the animals. As long as our emotional bond was deep, their intelligence would spike after mutation, and they would unquestionably obey my commands. Time flew. The virus finally spiraled completely out of control. Holding one of my ragdolls, I stood on the second floor of my villa and watched a zombie bite into an arrogant young man, tearing him apart as he screamed to death. It wasn't that I was cold-blooded. It was just that without a cure, going outside right now was pure suicide. Suddenly, the ragdoll in my arms started convulsing. I quickly placed them in their separate cages, using a wet towel to wipe their paws and cool them down, while rushing to give water to Demao, who had also begun mutating. Right then, someone started violently banging on my front gate. I checked the security feed. It was two young punks with terrible dyed hair. "Open up. Open the door. We know someone's in there. We just want 2 packs of instant noodles. There are zombies out there. We don't dare leave." Looking closely at the monitor, I saw they were both hiding knives behind their backs. I sneered. Do I look like an idiot? In my past life, this same group had squatted in the villa next door. Because they were too cowardly to scavenge, they constantly harassed me for food. At the time, my girlfriend's family had kicked us out and confiscated our supplies, so I barely had anything anyway. Out of the goodness of my heart, I opened the door to explain the situation to them. They forced their way in, ransacked my place, and beat the hell out of us. This time around, I simply pressed the external doorbell alarm. BZZZZZT. Oh fuck, he's drawing the zombies. Run. The zombies in this world weren't the slow, shuffling corpses from the movies. They were incredibly fast. Some even ran faster than they did when they were human. A moment later, screams pierced the air. Soon, I saw one of the punks aimlessly wandering among the zombie horde outside my gate. He had joined their ranks. "Master," a voice suddenly said beside me. "Demi hurts. Demi is so hungry." I jumped. In my past life, they definitely couldn't talk. Was it because they were perfectly nourished this time, allowing for a higher-tier evolution? I hurriedly poured a massive bowl of cat food. Demi and Xiaomi devoured it in massive gulps. As they ate, their bodies rapidly expanded. In my past life, they grew to about 1 meter tall. Now, they were nearly 2 meters tall, standing there looking like 2 fully grown lions. I swallowed hard. Why would I ever be afraid of zombies now? One slap from these guys would take their heads off. Next, Xiao Bao the raven struggled to spread his wings. He was already a large bird, but now he was the size of a small hill. He happily squawked, "Papa, Papa? Food, food. Hungry." Resigned to my fate, I started feeding the massive bird, but he didn't seem satisfied. He hopped over to the window, cawing loudly. Sensing his excitement, I proactively opened the front door. And then, he hilariously got stuck in the doorway. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I had to open all 3 panels of the folding door just to let him squeeze out. The moment he was free, he dove straight into a crowd of zombies, grabbed one with his talons, and swallowed it whole. I had only ever heard of snakes eating zombies. Apparently, ravens did too. It was just a bit more brutal. Snakes swallowed. He tore them to shreds. By this time, the Syrian hamsters and the king snakes had finished their evolutions. Rubbing my hands together, I instructed the hamsters to mobilize the mutant rats to guard my yard. If anyone approached, they were to either sound the alarm or attack on sight. Then, I ordered the king snakes to clear out the zombies in the immediate vicinity and keep my territory safe. With the pets off doing their jobs, I finally relaxed, sinking into a rocking chair in the courtyard and scrolling through my phone to check the national situation. But before I could even get comfortable, a loud shout came from outside. "Linyu, can't you see we're carrying a ton of bags? Hurry up and let us in." I looked over and laughed out loud. It was my ex-girlfriend and her entire family. I had originally planned to wait until the mid-apocalypse, when my pets were even higher leveled, to go out and seek revenge. I didn't expect them to deliver themselves to my doorstep like an Uber Eats order. I walked up to the gate, crossed my arms, and stared at them. You want me to open the door, so I should just open it? Didn't you break up with me? What? You regret it now. My ex-girlfriend, Sun Lee, scoffed. I only left because I was pissed you were hoarding pet supplies instead of real food. But it's fine now. I brought my parents and my brother. We actually have some supplies. Hurry up and let us in, and I'll let you live a good life with us. Oh, by the way, where is my golden retriever? I pointed directly behind her. Sun Lee turned her head and found a dog larger than a lion standing right behind her. He stared down at her with cold, indifferent eyes, like he was looking at a corpse. Damao? It's me, your master. I came back for you. I'll stay with you forever from now on, okay? I laughed. Sometimes dogs are just like humans. When they are abandoned or their hearts are broken, they develop rebellion. Sometimes even hatred. Not to mention, Damao was a fully mature dog now. He could voice his own grievances. You abandoned me. You are not my master. As he spoke, he forgot he was still holding a zombie in his mouth. The mangled corpse dropped right at my ex's feet, making her shriek in terror. You can talk. I bought you. You belong to me. If you don't listen to me, I'll beat you. I sighed. Damao, sometimes humans need to be taught a lesson too. Hearing that, Damao raised a massive paw and stomped toward my ex. She was swatted aside like a rag doll, scraping her face hard against the concrete. My face? You dare scratch my face? Damao, do you want to die? Damao bared his razor-sharp fangs, looking entirely ready to bite her head off. Post-apocalypse, mutated pets were fiercely loyal, but they only recognized one master. Damao, let it go, I said with a smile. Come back inside. Their screaming has already drawn a bunch of zombies anyway. Damao immediately leaped over the wall. My walls were incredibly high and topped with spikes. There was no way her family was getting over them. Just as I finished speaking, several zombies came sprinting toward the noise. My ex frantically pounded on the gate. Let me in. Linyu, I forgive you. I'll be your girlfriend again. Her brother chimed in. Yeah. My sister is a college grad and a senior white-collar worker. She's beautiful. You're not losing out. Let us in, and I'll make her marry you right now. Look at that. That's her family. In my past life, I knew they favored sons over daughters. When she wanted to run back to them, I tried to stop her, but she thought I was trying to ruin her life. I wondered if she realized now that her own family would be the first to betray her. Seeing me stand there with my arms crossed, mocking them, her family finally realized I wasn't going to let them in. They scrambled to find a place to hide. They had dumb luck. Before the apocalypse, I had built a simple firewood shed outside the walls. It was flimsy, but it had a door. The family squeezed inside, covering my ex's mouth to muffle her curses. Zombies were fast, but they lost their vision quickly, effectively becoming blind or extremely nearsighted. They relied on smell and hearing. Since they couldn't see them, they didn't know the family was hiding in the shed. So, the family survived the immediate wave. They soon realized the zombies couldn't even get close to my yard. Whenever one tried, a swarm of gray, mutated rats would suddenly appear and aggressively drive them away. My ex's family was dying of jealousy. They were surprisingly patient, though, waiting a full day and night until the coast was clear before stepping out of the shed. I had just finished dinner when I heard a soft knock at the gate. Someone threw a small pebble at my window. Sighing, I walked outside. My ex-girlfriend was standing there, dressed in incredibly revealing clothes, posing seductively with every step she took. Oh, she's trying to seduce me. Unfortunately for her, I had my past life experiences. I would never share oxygen with these people again. What a great show. Be ashamed not to watch it. I pulled out a portable camping stove, laid out a spread of premium ingredients, and started eating hot pot right in front of them. Between bites, I called out, "The performance isn't bad. Take off a little more. I can barely see any skin." The weather was freezing. Taking off a single layer of clothing right now was basically asking for hypothermia. Having been spoiled by me in the past, my ex naturally refused. She whispered, "Brother Lin, just let me in. Whatever you want to see, I'll dance for you inside, okay? Sis, stop wasting time. Hurry up and strip. We only get in if he's satisfied." Her brother reached out and literally yanked her thermal shirt off. She instantly erupted in goosebumps. "Forget dancing. She turned beet red from the cold, hunching over, tears welling in her eyes as she looked at me pleadingly. I just smiled. Before you left, you spent my money to buy a carload of supplies for your family. You called me useless. You said I couldn't even fight for groceries. You cursed my parents, saying they should have died sooner so they wouldn't waste money on medical bills. You told me I deserved to die alone. Well, I'm alone now. And I gotta say, it feels pretty great. I ate a piece of beef, took a sip of beer, and chuckled. Honestly, there are plenty of empty houses around here. You refuse to go to any of them. You just want to steal my pets, don't you? Too bad. I'm not giving them away. Why not? Even if you don't give me the others, Demao. My ex complained indignantly. Demao is mine. A pet that has acknowledged a master cannot change loyalties. Then you're a thief. I didn't throw him away. I was just going to pick him up later. Give me back Demao right now, or I'm calling the cops on you. I picked up the crossbow resting under the table, my patience fully exhausted. Is your brain damaged? My little rat friends, teach them a lesson. Out of nowhere, mutated rats began swarming the family, attacking them relentlessly. The family fled in sheer panic. But I knew they wouldn't go far. Sure enough, Xiao Bao reported that they had holed up in a residential building a block away. I was figuring out how to deal with them when my ex-girlfriend started braving the streets every day to visit me. Sometimes she brought a pack of spicy strips, sometimes a small bag of chips, worthless junk food that wouldn't fill a stomach. She put on a pitiful face, constantly begging me to let her in, swearing she'd abandon her family if I just opened the door. But I knew she wouldn't. Her family dynamic was rotten to the core. I let her into the yard anyway. I'm only letting you in because I pity you. But I only have pet food in this house. You can eat the cat food. You're lying. You were literally eating meat the other day. If you think I'm lying, you can leave. I wanted to see how long she could keep up the act. I was in no rush. I had to admit, hunger does wonders for the appetite. She scarfed down that cat food like it was a Michelin star meal. A moment later, Xiao Bao returned. He dropped a non-mutated, freshly hunted wild pheasant right in front of me. Xiao Bao knows how to hunt now. You're so amazing, let big sister pet you. My ex reached out to touch him. You should remember Xiao Bao doesn't like being touched. Before, he just pecked your hand. Now he'll peck your eyes out. My ex gritted her teeth. I just wanted to pet him. You wanted to sell me to a dog meat butcher because I took your diamond earring to my nest, Xiao Bao suddenly said. He flapped his massive wings, generating a gust of wind that knocked her flat on her back. So that's why Xiao Bao hated her so much back then. I tossed the pheasant onto the ground, grabbed her by the collar, and slapped her hard across the face. Motherfucker. I have never hit a woman in my life. Congratulations on being the first. You knew Xiao Bao was the pet my parents left me, and you tried to sell him. I was wrong. I was really wrong. Please forgive me. From now on, I'll feed Xiao Bao for you. I'll clean the house. Sure. From now on, you do all the chores. I kicked the pheasant toward her. She froze. Because of her pitiful background, I had never made her lift a finger in the house while we were together. But I knew she actually knew how to do everything. What? Don't know how. I know how. I can do it. She swallowed hard, cooked the pheasant in the rustic wood-fired stove I had built, and made some cornmeal flatbread. In the current climate, this was a luxury feast. I made her do it on purpose. The smell of the food drifted far. Her parents definitely smelled it. Afterward, I sat outside and ate the chicken with her. It was absolutely delicious. That night, I heard shouting behind the villa. It was her brother. You bitch. We sent you to get us food, and you're in there eating like a queen? I'll fucking kill you. Daughter, her mother pleaded. Our stash is almost empty. You have to figure out a way to get some food out for us. Yeah, we're counting on you. There are zombies everywhere. We don't dare go out. My ex sounded reluctant. I don't dare either. He hid everything. I can't even see it. And Demao hates me now, or I would have come back already. Forget Demao. Just coax him into letting us in. Once we're inside, I'll use the paraquat, weed killer, I brought from the village. I'll slip a little into his food every day. He won't survive long. I sneered in the dark. I knew they were up to no good. Her brother chimed in. Once he's dead, nobody will be around to raise those pets. They'll be ours. I want the flying one. I saw it carrying food back to the house. It's insanely useful. Then I want those two pretty little lions. They're great at killing zombies, her father added. Wow. Have they already picked out how they want to die? I pretended I hadn't heard a thing. I watched on the cameras as my ex brought a small vial of poison back inside. This was her final test. If she didn't poison me, I might have given her a quick, painless death. But the very next day, she poisoned my instant noodles. My Syrian hamster hopped onto the table and squeaked out everything she had done. I set down my coffee cup and whispered, "Find a chance to swap our bowls." The hamster's ability was altering its size. All of them had leveled up and awakened their innate talents. To others, the hamster's ability might seem useless. But to me, since I already had apex predators with devastating attack power, having an undetectable, invisible little spy was the most crucial asset of all. "Linyu, food is ready." I hummed an acknowledgement and walked out to the dining table. I sat down. The hamster, hiding by the edge of the table, gave me a tiny nod. Feeling perfectly safe, I started eating the instant noodles. There were no side dishes, just a small plate of pickled vegetables. "Remember when we first started dating?" I said. "You had such low self-esteem. When I took you out to eat, you wouldn't even dare step into a high-end restaurant. But later, when I bought you gifts worth over $100,000, you'd complain they weren't classy enough. I was just trying to give you face. Besides, it's the apocalypse now. Those things are useless. Is that why you sold every single gift I gave you and gave the cash to your parents?" They're my family." I looked at her coldly. "Does your family actually love you?" She smiled. "I know that in this world, only you truly love me." I sighed internally. I left some food in the cabinet behind the kitchen. "Take it to your parents." "Thank you so much, hubby." She scrambled to grab the supplies, packed them up, and headed for the door. "Hubby, I'll be back to make you lunch. Have Xiao Bao catch a rabbit, okay? If you can't wait, just have him deliver it to my parents' place." "Thanks, hubby." The sheer audacity of this woman. Give her an inch, and she immediately starts plotting to use Xiao Bao. She was truly beyond saving. After she left, I had the hamster follow her. It quickly relayed the news back to me. I had given her instant noodles and snacks, mostly puffed junk food that looked like a lot, but offered no real sustenance. Her parents and brother were furious. They actually beat her. But to their absolute shock, my ex suddenly started vomiting blood. They were terrified, thinking they had kicked her too hard and ruptured something internal. But they would figure out the truth soon enough. I felt a profound sense of catharsis. If my ex had shown a shred of mercy and used less poison, it might not have flared up so quickly. She might have lived a few more days. But she didn't. She dumped the entire vial into my noodles. And now it was all in her stomach. She reaped exactly what she sowed. I was just thinking it was time to finish off her family and begin properly constructing my safe zone. As the saying goes, a man without ambition isn't a real man. I had spent all this time training my pets. Now that they were all fully leveled up, it was time to claim territory. As for my ex's family, they were just toys to relieve my boredom before the real war began. But to my utter surprise, they showed up at my gate dragging my coughing, blood-spitting ex, and they brought the female pet shop owner with them. The pet shop owner only had 2 pets left. Since she hadn't understood the early game mechanics, she had lost some animals, leaving her with only 2 hamsters. Thinking they had found a moral authority to back them up, her family pointed at me and screamed, "You garbage! Come out here. Even in the apocalypse, you can't lose your basic humanity. You poisoned your own girlfriend just to steal our food." Her father cursed me out loudly. Several survivors hiding in the surrounding buildings peeked out to watch the drama. I walked out the front door, flanked by 2 massive king snakes capable of swallowing zombies whole. Xiao Bao the raven perched on my shoulder, squawking aggressively at the strangers. "Steal your food? You're lying through your teeth. Everyone knows ravens feed their masters. Xiao Bao is more than capable of keeping me fed. I have absolutely no reason to steal your food." On the other hand, why a group of outsiders from a rural village hundreds of miles away suddenly showed up at my doorstep? Only you know the answer to that. The pet shop owner recognized me. She gave me a polite nod. Someone who took in so many pets before the apocalypse even started. I don't believe he's a bad person. You guys, however, conveniently left out the part where you're not from around here. Her brother jumped up. "So what if we're from out of town? Does that mean we deserve to be robbed? Look at my sister. He definitely did this. He forced her to drink paraquat. Everyone needs to boycott a monster like him." I laughed out loud. "How do you know it was paraquat? Did a doctor diagnose her?" "As far as I know, there are no doctors left alive around here. Furthermore, my yard only has a few small trees. I don't use weed killer. Paraquat is something only farmers keep in their houses. So, did I make her drink it? Or were you guys terrified she was going to eat your food? So you poisoned her yourselves so you wouldn't have to share? And then, you tried to use her past relationship with me to pin the murder on me, hoping to use public outrage to steal my house and my supplies. Her brother stammered. We didn't poison her. She was just stupid. She failed to poison you and ended up poisoning herself. He instantly slapped a hand over his mouth. The pet shop owner's eyes went wide. So that's how it is. You morally bankrupt scum need to leave this neighborhood immediately, or I won't be polite. Playing the victim, tricking me into confronting Mr. Lin. You're shameless. As she spoke, her two giant hamsters squeaked aggressively at my ex's family. Her mother dropped to her knees. We were just so hungry. Please forgive us. From now on, we'll stay locked in our room. Once things calm down, we'll leave immediately, okay? Get lost, the pet shop owner spat. The family fled in utter humiliation, leaving my dying ex-girlfriend right at my gate. The pet shop owner looked guilty. I'm sorry. I had good intentions, but I messed up. What are you going to do about her? Leave her, I said. I'm no saint. But speaking of which, boss, I have something to tell you. Do you know what a hamster's biggest advantage is? She shook her head. Breeding. You have a male and a female. You need to let them breed an entire army. That's how you get real power. In my past life, I remembered she had several of them. They must have been the offspring. She smiled shyly. I've been making them guard the main gate of the neighborhood. I haven't had the time. It suddenly clicked. No wonder there are so few zombies in this neighborhood, and the survivors are so safe. It was all thanks to her and her two hamsters. From today on, leave the gate guarding to me, I said. You go rest and focus on breeding. She thanked me profusely, glanced at my ex one last time, and left. I didn't even step out of my gate. I looked down at my ex, who was coughing up blood and unable to speak. If you hadn't tried to kill me, I might have given you a way out. Too bad you only ever listened to them. You ruined your own life. Lin, why did you stop treating me well? She still didn't get it. Did she really have to ask? Because you weren't worth it. As I closed the gate, I heard her weasel laugh. My parents are going to kill you. With that, she breathed her last. In the middle of the night, a roaming zombie dragged her body away. I had just closed my eyes when I heard a faint noise coming from the back door. Demi instantly stood up, yawned, and said, Humans. Demau barked and bolted toward the back. I grabbed my crossbow and followed them out. The floodlights clicked on. My ex's family of 3 was huddled together, shivering as they were surrounded by 2 giant cats and a lion-sized dog. They were holding tools. They really did come to kill me. I laughed. Ignorance really is hereditary. Did you idiots honestly think that because I sent some pets to guard the neighborhood gate, I wouldn't have any left to guard myself? You guessed wrong. Her brother's voice trembled. What are you going to do? You think I'd let my pets dirty their mouths with your blood? Everyone, come back inside. Lock the doors and windows. Release the zombies. With that, I led my pets back inside. Xiao Bao flew over to the woodshed and unlatched the lock. 5 trapped zombies burst out and charged straight at the family. These zombies were backup snacks I had caught for my snakes. Even though murder was legal in the apocalypse, I didn't want my pets' paws tainted by scum like them. The zombies swarmed them. I stood by the window and watched. They pounded on my reinforced back door, screaming to be let in, but it was impenetrable. Her parents were tackled by the zombies. As they were being torn apart, they desperately tried to buy time for their precious son to escape. But in that exact moment, her brother grabbed his parents, shoved them harder into the zombie horde, and used the distraction to run away. Her parents cursed their son with their dying breaths, finally regretting abandoning their daughter. They realized too late that their daughter was the only one who actually cared about them. I watched them get torn to shreds and reanimate as zombies. Only then did I turn to Demi and Xiaomi send them on their way. The 2 cats charged out and instantly crushed their skulls. The next day, I openly dragged their bodies into the street and burned them. Then, with my pets by my side, I began systematically clearing the neighborhood of zombies, allowing the pet shop owner and her hamsters to rest and multiply. The surviving residents in the area began to trust me. I organized patrols, erected barricades, and formally established a safe zone. We lived in a luxury villa district, which happened to have a massive supermarket inside its perimeter. Once the area was secure, I organized teams to hoard all the usable food from the supermarket and began strictly rationing it to those who had nothing. Simultaneously, we repaired the deep water wells in the neighborhood, securing our water supply. With food, water, and a powerhouse like me protecting them, the people finally stopped cowering in their homes and began walking around outside. I didn't rush to expand the safe zone. I waited until everyone had assigned jobs and the internal structure was stable before allowing outsiders in. Naturally, I continued scavenging for supplies with Xiaobao. You can only feed more people if you have more supplies. Eventually, I became the undisputed leader of this territory. The female pet shop owner and her hamster army became my greatest allies. She was kind, but she wasn't stupid. And hamsters breed incredibly fast. A hamster's greatest trait is hoarding. Even the newly born pups could go out and drag back several bags of rice and flour in a single trip. Thanks to their insane reproductive rate, she quickly amassed an army of dozens of giant hamsters. Perhaps because I had helped her expand her swarm, she was incredibly grateful to me and constantly brought me home-cooked meals. I didn't hoard any food for myself before this started. Thankfully, you guarded the gate so my hamsters could breed. Now they can easily feed me. They brought these vegetables back today. I know fresh greens are hard to come by right now. My cooking isn't great, but I hope you don't mind. Her face turned bright red from shyness. I took the food. Thank you. Let's work together to build this safe zone, all right? Of course, she said, before turning and running back to her house. I rubbed my chin. Does she have a crush on me? Too bad I didn't have time to think about romance right now. Building the safe zone was priority number one. In less than 6 months, I had expanded the safe zone exponentially. It was the largest and safest territory in the entire city. Countless survivors flocked to us for asylum, but everyone had to abide by my rules. We even started clearing land to plant crops and vegetables, moving toward total self-sufficiency so we wouldn't have to risk scavenging outside. The elderly loved this. They were no longer seen as burdens by their children and had meaningful work to do. Then, one day, a patrol reported finding a highly unusual zombie. I took Xiaobao and drove out to investigate. From a distance, the zombie looked oddly familiar. I stepped out of the car, crossbow raised, and approached cautiously. To my shock, the zombie looked up at me, drooled, and reached out. Be brother-in-law. I had my suspicions, but now I knew for sure. It was my ex-girlfriend's brother. But why did he, a zombie, retain human memories? And more importantly, why did he still have that sycophantic, kiss-ass look in his eyes? He hadn't just retained his memories. He retained his human personality. No wonder the patrol said he was weird. I immediately stopped my men from shooting him. Don't hurt him. Don't you guys realize what a perfect research specimen this is? If we can use him to develop a vaccine, the apocalypse is over. This was literally a gift from God. My men carefully captured him and brought him back to the safe zone, handing him over to the scientists I had recruited. They had been working in a basement lab trying to develop a vaccine, and I had heavily funded their research. There weren't many humans left, and even fewer leaders were willing to waste resources supporting scientists. Survival was hard enough. Nobody had the luxury to care about the future of humanity. The scientists were ecstatic to see my ex's brother. They strapped him to an operating table, drew his blood, took tissue samples, and ran full diagnostics. They didn't find anything inherently different about his mutation, but they did find a specific toxin in his bloodstream. I clapped my hands together. Could it be paraquat? Do you have a basis for that theory? A scientist asked. Yes. The zombie that bit him had previously bitten a woman who had ingested paraquat. A day later, that same zombie bit him and his parents. I burned his parents' bodies, but he escaped. Next time I saw him, he was like this. We need to find some paraquat to run an experiment. Done. I'll get it for you. The lead scientist shook my hand vigorously. Thank you so much, Comrade Lin. His cellular activity is incredibly high. If we can extract a vaccine from this, you'll be the savior of the entire world. I just want the apocalypse to end as soon as possible. Thank you for your hard work. I adjusted my collar and turned to leave, but something tugged at my shirt. Sister. Brother-in-law, save me. I'm your girlfriend's brother. I slapped his hand away. I think this zombie's brain is a bit scrambled. You guys should probably run some invasive tests on his head. I walked out of the basement and lit a cigarette. I had to admit, even with the advantage of rebirth, I never would have guessed that this stupid, selfish man would end up becoming the savior of humanity. It felt like a fever dream. Within a month, incredible news came out of the lab. The prototype vaccine was a success. Now they needed massive amounts of zombies for clinical trials. I authorized the construction of an external testing facility outside the city, guarded by my pets. Xiao Bao was tasked with capturing live zombies and bringing them back to the scientists. When a fully healed, talking, non-aggressive former zombie walked out of the lab, the entire safe zone erupted in cheers. And when a newly bitten human was injected with the vaccine and didn't mutate, people cried and screamed in pure joy. Safe zones from all over the country contacted us, desperate for the vaccine. Even foreign governments immediately dispatched envoys. I rapidly built manufacturing plants, using the vaccine to amass unimaginable wealth and resources. Ultimately, my safe zone became the largest in the nation. The entire city was my absolute territory. Other factions wanted to take it from me, but they couldn't. I had an army of fiercely loyal mutant pets and the strongest defense force in the world. Finally, the nation began to recover. The government was entirely restructured, and each major safe zone was designated as a distinct administrative district. I was officially appointed as the governor of District 10. The government awarded me the Medal of Human Heroism. When they asked for the name of the zombie specimen who had nobly sacrificed himself for humanity, I shook my head. I'm sorry, I don't know his name. In the end, his gravestone was inscribed with, "The Nameless Hero." 2 more years passed. Human society had essentially returned to normal. I married the pet shop owner, and together, we worked hard to maintain the peace and security of District 10. After all, even with the vaccine, rogue zombies still popped up from time to time. One day, my son was playing in the basement and found an old photograph of my ex-girlfriend. "Papa, who is this lady?" he asked. I took the photo, ripped it to pieces, and threw it in the trash. I smiled. I don't know her. Must have accidentally gotten mixed in when we were packing up the old house. My son giggled innocently. "Mama says we shouldn't be flashy, but that lady in the picture was covered in jewelry. So weird. Papa, you don't like ladies like that either, right?" I nodded and patted his head. That's right. In the past, Papa was just too lonely, so he didn't know what he really wanted. But I know now. All I want is for you, me, and Mama to be a happy family. Having lived through the apocalypse, I knew better than anyone just how precious that truly was.